Hello everybody, Mannix here. It's time for the ultimate Ozark Trail shaft lock knife showdown. That's right. As far as early 2024, as I'm filming this right now, is concerned, these are the only 4 shaft lock knives that I know of that Ozark Trail / Walmart has produced so far. It all started with the 6707, which took the knife world by storm back in around November. It was late 2022. People were like, what is that thing? Is that an axis lock from Benchmade? That's right when that locking mechanism became fair game for other manufacturers to use instead of just Benchmade. So Ozark Trail jumped on it and people were blown away at this knife. I want to say it was around $4 something, less than $5. Immediately after that, that's when they kind of started jumping the prices up to around $6. Some people said they're around $8. Around $5 range are all of these knives. It all began with this guy right here. And then the next year, late 2023, we got 2 more shaft lock knives. The 6835 that went for $5 even, so just about the same price. And then the 6842, also $5. Both great knives. And there was one more with a very interesting looking shaft lock, which I don't even believe has a name, but it came in the 6-piece combo set, which was a total of 3 knives, 3 extra outdoor camping gear, something or other items. You can watch my video on that one. And the total price was $15. So arguably, you could say this knife is also worth about 5, hell, maybe even 4, if you want to count the extra items in the package there. This is also a shaft lock. It just has a very different exterior rather than being round like all the others and looking more like a Benchmade axis lock. Instead, it has its own kind of proprietary thing going on here where it's more linear. We have polymer tips on it, which is very interesting rather than straight up exposed metal. Very interesting, but it works just like the others. And we have an internal stop pin on this guy. Right in there is a little internal stop pin. The other 3 are exposed. And saints be praised, hallelujah, it is a miracle. They're all tip up loop over carry. Hot dog, that's what we've all been harping on for years. All of us knife people have been complaining and whining on the internet. Tip up, loop over pocket clips, please. That's what we all wanted, and Ozark Trail delivered. Unfortunately, the only one swappable to the left side is this guy right here, the 6842. You actually can swap that pocket clip. Look at that. But the others you can't. Yeah. Sorry. But other than the pocket clip situation, all of these are completely ambidextrous. They all have dual thumb studs. They all have the ambidextrous shaft locks, as you can see right there. They all have an overall length of 7 inches, all of them with blade lengths of 3 inches and handle lengths of 4 inches. As far as I know, they all have polypropylene handle scales. They all have stainless steel liners inside of them that are mounted. This guy with the blue handle is the only one with flush mounted liners, however. The rest are parallel. Blade steel, it's kind of a question mark, but they're either 3CR13 or 440A, something around that quality level. Soft, but relatively sharp. They were out of the package anyway, and you can certainly touch them up and improve them. The 6707 and the 6835 have satin finishes, and then the 6842 is boasting a stonewash finish of sorts, and this nameless one is as well. I think they're both beautiful in their own right. Their thumb studs are all pretty much exactly the same. They're all cylindrical and then rounded a little bit at the edge. Pretty much exactly the same. All the pocket clips have stonewash finishes on them. They all have slightly different designs, but they're, again, all loop over tip up. Let's just weigh all these bad boys. So for our 6707, we are at 3.24 ounces. Big fat dude there. 6835, 2.62, substantially lighter on that. 6842, 2.61. Just a little bit lighter. Almost the exact identical same weight as this guy. Just 0.01 ounces lighter. And finally this, 2.72. Okay. So if we were to put these in order from heaviest to light, it's actually just like this. The heaviest being the first guy, the 6707 on the left. And then we just get a little bit lighter each time. Substantially lighter on this one compared to that one. But then these two are almost identical. But technically speaking, the 6842 is the winner as far as weight is concerned, if you want it to be as lightweight as possible. But this guy's pretty much exactly the same. This one's also very, very light, just a little bit heavier than these, not by much. And then this guy has somewhat of a substantial weight difference from all of the others. It's a lot wider. So although the lengths of all of these are exactly the same, the widths certainly are not. This guy's really beefy and chunky. I really like it. Very, very versatile, simple handle design. Not a whole lot going on here. It's got almost an OD green color going on. It's very subdued. Not bad looking. I like the recurve blade we have going on here. Very aggressive looking, very fat drop point. Going to be very good for slashing. Decent for piercing. All around jack of all trades. Although the recurve right there, although I do like it, it is going to make resharpening just a little bit more difficult. But if you're good at it, then hey, it's just a bonus at that point. Blade shape on the next one, much more acute. It's also a drop point, but there's no recurve as far as I can really see. Just a much skinnier, simple drop point. It's going to be better for piercing, but not quite as good for slashing, and it's going to be more prone to the tip breaking if you're really, really, really using it hard. They've obviously is a lot more skinny. We have a much more extreme handle design on this one. It looks like it's actually meant for the human hand, like your fingers are supposed to fit in there comfortably. The choil, I think, is just a little bit tight for my index finger anyway, but not a big deal. Overall, comfortable enough. And there's jimping on the spine. The others do not have any jimping. This is the only one with jimping as well. That's certainly another plus it's going to get. And it's very purposeful. It's actually nice and sharp and locks you in. This guy, more like a spear point blade. Is it a spear point? It could be a spear point. It could be a drop point. It's kind of up to interpretation-ish. I'm going to say it's a drop point, but it looks quite different from the other two we just looked at. This one's certainly going to have a nice, strong tip for piercing in comparison to this one right here, but it's not as acute, so there's a little bit more resistance there. It's not going to be as good at piercing, but it will withstand more stress for piercing. Very similar, though, not a big deal. And this is the only one with a flipper on it. The other three are thumb studs only. The one disadvantage to that, however, is that it's somewhat gritty right around here. The grind is just kind of crude. They had to make a cutout in there for the flipper to accommodate that shaft lock. Bravo, by the way. Nice touch. They could have just made this a thumb stud knife and foregone that whole aspect of it. But no, they actually went out of their way to make a flipper shaft lock knife. Bravo. Golf clap to you, Walmart people. Thank you. That's really cool. Although it grinds a little bit. It's not a very clean action right around here. But you can still deploy it just fine. We have three methods to deploy this guy using the shaft lock itself, the thumb studs, and the flipper, despite it not having a very clean deployment right there. It's just kind of a rough grind. And finally, we have arrived at the nameless blue, weird shaft lock one, sheepsfoot style blade all the way. It's certainly rivaling the 6707, the first shaft locked Ozark Trail. It's very, very close to its overall width. They're both beefy, chunky monkeys. These two in the middle are the slim dudes. It is kind of arguable, but we just have a sheepsfoot here. Then we have a recurve drop point with a very pronounced swedge, by the way, too. Very sexy blade on this guy, too. I like this blade, but I think this is just a much cooler, more useful blade overall. But hey, if you're into your sheep's feet, this is the one to go with. And how could you go wrong with that stonewash finish? Mwah! Oh, it's beautiful. Love stonewash finishes. Functional beauty on these things. Ergos on this handle. Oh, it just melts in the hand. I love this deep finger trail we have right here and these organic curves we have on the handle. Very reminiscent of a Benchmade Griptilian. Not bad at all. Really, really melts my hand in there. And it's nice and thick and fat too, so it's nice and hand filling. I happen to be into that. Ergos on this guy are great. Very, very simple. Not a whole lot going on here. Skinny handle. It tapers outward. The flipper accommodates it, so we have a nice little guard right there. It's thick too. It's thick and chunky despite being slim as far as its width is concerned. So I can really wrap my fingers around this thing and feel very, very confident with it despite the lack of jimping or anything. I actually don't really mind. I like that flipper. Damn, it's very, very comfortable and I have a lot to hold on to. It feels good in the hand. The texturing easily is my favorite on this one because it's very reminiscent of a medium or lighter traction G10. If you ever had the Kershaw OD2, that's going back a long ways, but if you ever had that knife, it's almost that exact same texturing. Or the Cold Steel Recon 1 Micros. That's exactly what this feels like. What they call that, the faux Zyx or whatever material they put on those things. It mimics G10 despite not actually being G10. But it feels a lot like it. It's easily my favorite texturing of all of these. Easily. The rest of these are all very smooth. There's polypropylene. Except for this guy right here, which has sort of a traction plan down here. It gives it a little something something. It's better than being entirely smooth, but This one's more about the actual ergonomics themselves. It just helps me lock my fingers and my hand in there, so I don't really care too much about the traction, but it's a nice touch. Very good. All these are very good looking blades overall, honestly, too. Pocket clips, all of them are pretty much fantastic for being like, $5-ish folding knives. I really don't have anything bad to say about any of them. They're all quite different. These are pretty similar. This one's very, very simple. Just straight up linear, symmetrical looking. This one's very proprietary, which I like. It actually looks like it's designed for this knife and only this knife specifically because it slopes, kind of matches with the handle right there. Very, very cool. But again, stone wash, similar design, good tension overall. This one, also it's symmetrical like that one. Interesting design right here. You can see it kind of bends downward. So this pocket clip up here, you can see it's flush and then it pinches down, but this one, it tapers downward. Interesting. That one's also flush. And then this one goes downward on a flat angle. So slightly different designs here, but more or less they're going to carry in your pocket just fine. They're all loop over. They're all tip up. Like I said, they're all stone wash. This one's kind of cool looking too. It's almost like a coffin like design. It's just something different. Although I don't like how flat this one is. As you can see, the other ones, you have a lot more clearance there. There's a lot more space. So it'll insert and extract out of your pocket a little bit easier when you have that extra space there. This guy's going to be a little bit more snug, but maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want it to be tight. It's going to have more tension. It's going to have more contact with your pocket material when it's more flat like this. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It just depends on what you're going for. Personally, I have no issues whatsoever with how any of these carry at all. I don't think any of the pocket clips really win or lose. They're all just slightly different in their own way. This one, you can see it's going to be riding about like that. This one, it's going to disappear because the pocket clip kind of protrudes past the handle, so it's going to be a little bit more covert, although arguably more difficult to extract because of that. Same with this one. Really looping past that handle right there. It's really, really going to be hidden in your pocket. And then this one's kind of mimicking the 6707 on the left. It's loop over, but it's not protruding past the handle. I'm going to give the carrying a point to this one right here simply because it's swappable to the left side. None of the others are. All of the handle materials being the same, all the locking mechanisms being the same functionally. All the blade shapes quite different actually. Let's just take everything into account here and see which one's best for what and which one's the winner. Ooh, the Ozark Trail champion. Very, very different aesthetics going on here. Of course, these are the two fat dudes. These are the skinny boys. This one's certainly got a very interesting shaft lock. Personally, I think I like this design more. It's just something different. I can really bite my fingers on there. It's a little bit more friendly on my fingers too because of the polymer. I'm assuming it's also polypropylene. The rest are the typical Benchmade Axis copies, which no issues with them either. I just think I like this one more just because it's, it's something different, but none of them are going to get a point for their locking mechanisms. They all lock up fine. They all deploy fine, except for the slight roughness we have on this one right here because of the flipper. That's kind of the trade-off. They all carry fine despite some slight kinks and slight differences in the pocket clips. All the ergonomics are good despite them all being quite different. This one's very, very versatile. Not a whole lot going on here. It's very hand-filling. Not uncomfortable by any means. There's no crazy choils or anything. It's just straight up simple handle. Oh yeah, these three have lanyard holes, but this one does not. So no lanyard hole on our nameless blue guy. That may be a disadvantage to you. Another nice touch about the pocket clips, they're all flush in the handle scales. Look at that. There's a cutout within the polypropylene handle scale that accommodates the pocket clip. So it fits nice and snug in there. It'll be nice and tight. So even if the screws eventually started loosening on you for whatever reason, it won't swivel around as readily because it's fit into place. This one looks like it's been like slipped in there. It's inserted. Very, very nice touch. Very, very nice. Same with this one. You can see this one better because the other side is exposed there. There's a nice little cutout. Same with this one. Very, very nice. I love it when I see that. I love seeing the pocket clips nice and snug, fit like a little puzzle piece inside the handle scale. Excellent, excellent. So this guy on the right's going to lose a point just because you cannot put a lanyard through it. This guy is the lightest, technically just by 0.01 ounces according to my scale compared to this one. So technically this one's going to win as far as weight is concerned, but you could say both of these win. They're both lighter, but they are smaller. So if you want something beefier, chunkier, stronger for bigger tasks, easily these two are going to win. Something just a little bit more carryable, these two are going to win for EDC. As far as ergonomics are concerned, Overall, I'm going to say this guy wins. I'm in love with this handle shape. It kind of reminds me of the CRKT Shenanigan a little bit. It's going back a ways, but even nicer because it's thicker, it's more round, it's hand-filling, it's smooth, it's a friendly texture, friendly shape. Really, 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 really comfortable. Huge fan of that. But all of them are comfortable. Again, this one's very versatile. Not uncomfortable, not super comfortable, but it works in a lot of different positions without being uncomfortable at all, more or less. So that's the advantage to having a versatile handle design. This one's the most extreme, I think. It really, really locks my fingers and my hand in here, and especially with the jimping. It's the only one with jimping, so that's a point it's going to get as well. But it's a little snug, and because it's extreme, that also means it's not going to be terribly comfortable in a variety of other positions. Actually, it's not bad right here, but I don't know if you're pole cutting or something or doing this, that can become a hot spot. And as you can see, you're not going to be making full contact with the flesh of your skin on there. That's just the disadvantage to more extreme designs. Yeah, they're very comfortable in certain positions, but they're uncomfortable in other positions, typically. This guy also very, very versatile. But I really love that flipper right there. It just really helps with the ergonomics, helps you lock your hand in there. Despite being a versatile design, I feel a little bit more confident with this one than I do with this one. It's kind of just a combination of the handle being a little bit skinnier, so I can really wrap my fingers around it more tightly. Combination of that with the flipper and the texturing on the handle scales. This one's not only very versatile, but I'm also very confident in holding it. So personally, I like the ergonomics of these two for their own reasons. These two also very good, but I don't think they're as good as these two. You may really like this one though, or you might really like this one because it's so versatile. I don't know. You do you. Aesthetically, I like them all, but personally, I think this one's the coolest looking. It looks the most custom made. It looks like it's actually meant to be what it is. It doesn't look like they just slapped a bunch of hardware together. None of these really do, but my point is it looks like it's designed for itself. There's a nice little blue touch on there around the pivot screw. Again, the pocket clip looks like it's actually designed for this handle specifically. It's not just a generic pocket clip they slapped on from who knows where. I like how it's textured, and despite not having a flipper like this one, it does have a perfectly smooth deployment. There's no grinding issues or anything like that, but it is very extreme. It's a little bit niche. It's kind of skinny, good for piercing, pretty good for normal everyday cuts, but there's not really much texturing on here, but you could say it's compensated for the fact that it is jimping. Lots of pros and cons all around, but the winner, which one's the best one? Personally, although I like all of them, if I just had to pick, I like this one, the 6842. I love the texturing on here easily more than any of these. This is the only other one with any kind of texturing really, but I like this texturing more. It kind of feels like G10. I like how it has a flipper, so we just have that option at least. The other three don't. So this one's going to be the most versatile as far as deployment is concerned. And it's the only one that's completely ambidextrous because you can swap the pocket clip to the other side. And on top of that, I think it's really, really good looking. It kind of reminds me of the CRKT M16 series. Something like that. It's the blade shape, it's the coloration going on here. The flipper, really not a bad looking knife at all. Really, really good looking. Actually, it looks more expensive than $5. So this one's going to win in versatility. It's ambidextrous. We have a flipper on here. The other three do not have either of those. And again, I really like these ergonomics. I like the ergonomics on the one on the right a lot. Just maybe a little bit more than this one, but overall I still really, really like this one. But again, they're all great. This one's the beefiest. This one's for the hardest use because it's the biggest, it's the heaviest, it's the chunkiest. It's also very, very versatile. And I think I like the blade shape on this one the most. I like the recurve and how fat and aggressive it is. It's going to be great for piercing. It's going to be strong. I just think overall, this one's the best for hard use, but it's not the best for EDC, and it doesn't really have any texturing anywhere. This one, really, really like it. Love those ergonomics. Also really like the way it looks. I like the proprietary kind of shaft lock we have on this one. They're all nice and smooth, except for the grinding issue we have on this guy. But the blade shape's a little bit more niche. It's a sheep's foot. Not the most versatile. It's got its pros, but it's certainly got its cons as well. But also a great option. This one, to me, looks the most aggressive. It's like a skinny, pointy shark or something. And it's got jimping on it, too. That's an advantage. And again, love how its pocket clip looks like it's designed for it. And we got the blue anodization or whatever that is around the pivot screw. It's very stylish, good looking, cool, most extreme design. If your hands fit this thing well, they're going to fit very, very well rather than being, a versatile handle that they fit kind of well on. But because of its extremism, that's also sort of its downfall. Your hands may not find this handle very comfortable. It might be a little bit too snug for you. Maybe this blade's a little bit too skinny for you. But overall, these are very minor nitpicks. I'm basically just kind of getting into the nitty-gritties and finding things to complain about. These are all fantastic folders for the $5 range each. A $20 bill could easily get you all 4 of these. That's really, really impressive. All great knives. There really isn't a winner here. Personally, I think I just like this one the most. I played around with this one more, and I just can't put it down. I keep playing with it. I don't know what it is. I just love that texturing, man. I love the flipper. This has got that fidget factor. And again, functionally speaking, we also have the lefty friendliness to it as well. Which one's your favorite? Which one do you think aesthetically looks the best? Which blade shape do you like the best? Which finish do you like the best? Which one would you pick? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really, really excited for what Ozark Trail comes out with next.